Alrighty, I think we are ready to kick our webinar off. I'm really happy to see so many of you here today with us. My name is Kristel, and today we're going to talk about the best practices in the business software for business software testing. And I am the founder of Testio, and Testio is the leader in network testing. And network testing is really, it combines the best of outsourced, crowdsourced, and internal QA teams. And today, well, as a founder of Testio, I founded the company about 8 years ago, and it's really awesome to see that we are able to serve great companies around the world, making sure that they have great app experiences. Today we've built the team, or our network is more than 30,000 testers around the world. So it's been an incredible journey for the past 8 years, and I'm really glad that you're all here today to hear about our best practices and things we've learned. So now I would love to tell you about today's format. So first of all, I will be asking questions from Oksana, who is one of our engagement managers here at Testio. And I totally encourage you to ask questions. Like if you have any questions or if you have any ideas or anything, please use the Q&A feature here on Zoom. We will answer all of the questions in the end. Our discussion will take about, I don't know, I would say 20, 25 minutes. And then we'll take all the questions and answer them on the go. So keep asking them during our conversation. And today's webinar is based on our research. We have looked at McKinsey studies. It's also the historical client data here at Testio, and also based on the interviews we've done with our engagement managers like Oksana. So Oksana, I'm really happy to have you here with us today, sharing that experience. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much, Crystal, for having me here. I'm a big fan of Testio, and I've been here for 4.5 years, and I think it's because of you, because you are this energy ball, and we all love you. So I'm happy to be here and happy to share a little bit on my experience and observations so far. A little bit about myself. I've been in the industry for 14 years now. First 10 years I've been testing. And the last 5 years of my testing career, I spent in Microsoft doing software development engineering in test. So I've been there inside, and now it's a little bit from outside. And what I love here in Testio, that I can impact really a lot of companies. So when you work for product company, you impact one company, a lot of users. But here it's like, I don't know, I think I'm impacting like 1 million of users because of managing so many applications and solutions.
Yeah, in total, Testio helps more than 2 billion end customers around the globe, which is very impactful. So yeah, we do a lot of great things here. So thank you, Oksana, for joining me today. So I would love to just kick it off. So first of all, I would love to talk a little bit about the competitive landscape of business software. In one business software segment, the total number of companies in the space increased from 500 to over 7,000 between 2007 and 2017. So the competition is just growing crazily, right? Would you say this is like typical business software as a whole, or not?
Yes, I would say it's very typical. And we've seen in some of the statistics that companies who have 250 or more employees, they usually use 100 plus solutions for business software. And especially now when, not now anymore, it's second year since we are living in the COVID times, teams have to collaborate remotely. That's why the amount of business solutions used is increasing. And I guess each of us here has adopted few applications since the beginning of COVID already.
Exactly. So with the increased competition, one key differentiator obviously is user experience, right? And we've seen the NPS scores for business software steadily decrease over the last 5 years. Why do you think that is?
I think the main reason is that business software requirements are very high in terms of functionalities. So companies who develop business software, they first think about feature sets, functions, requirements from their client, and not focusing on user experience that much. But we see it here at Testio when we have new companies seeking for our help. We can see that those companies who really think about usability, they are different. They are a differentiator, and they stand out from the competitors. And one thing which when I was thinking about this, it's like in every company when you join the company, you will get something like sales management solution, which is heavy, bulky, and it takes you a few months to understand how it works. And this, I would say, is like a general trend. Those solutions are big and heavy, and that's why the NPS scores are not that good right now. But this is the good place for new players to step in and think about user experiences.
Exactly. And just kind of unify the entire experience and make it as simple as possible. So that's a great challenge for any company out there that's either starting out or are already in the space. And that talking about user experience, this obviously brings us to this webinar today. So why does business software testing support great user experiences? Why would you say?
It's about shifting left, and it's about getting real people feedback early and while you are developing. So before you spend thousands of dollars on your final solution, it's better to get real people touch of it a little bit earlier, to fix issues earlier in the process and see if you can improve something for your users. And it's not necessarily redoing everything from scratch, but just simple usability thoughts and ideas could improve experience for the user.
Yep. So let's get to our best practices. So as I said, we've read different reports like McKinsey studies. It's really based on our historical client data. Testio has been in business for the past 8 years, but we have so many engagement managers, testing managers that are all bringing in this a lot of information. And so with all these interviews, we've come up with the best practices. So our first best practice is to take a quality over quantity approach to testing. So this is represented in our historical client data by a higher percentage of time on project management and fixed issue verification. So Oksana, first, what's the difference between project management for business software versus consumer-facing apps?
Let me first say a few words about what project management is in our understanding and in our processes. So the project management includes all of the activities which lead to actual testing, so before the testing. And those activities includes strategy planning, communication with the teams, taking part of the Scrum ceremonies to understand the product, understand the development process, to understand the needs. It's defining the KPIs and requirements for the testing. It's writing tests and splitting them into actionable scenarios for the testers. It's reporting, and also some of the documentation. So what we've noticed from comparing business software to consumer software is that we spend more time on project management for business software. And I think the main reason is that business software is much more complex, and it has many more scenarios to cover. So writing the tests and making sure that we cover all of those scenarios, it takes a little bit more time.
Yep. So, but what about the difference between fixed issue verification for business software compared to consumer solutions?
Fixed issue verification is the process when we verify that the bug was actually fixed or not. So you want to make sure that the bug is fixed and it didn't introduce any regressions. And when we talk about business software, since the software has more features, it first takes a little bit more time to get to the scenario itself. before you can understand if the feature fixed or not. So for example, we have one business solution which is used for voice over IP for the companies. And one of the features of the solution is call forwarding. So basically you can forward call from one colleague to another. And in order for tester to reproduce this issue, they first need to set up 3 devices to make sure that all are connected, all are signed in, and only then the tester can start reproducing the issue. So it's a bit more like time and a little bit more complex to get to the issue before you can understand is it fixed or not.
Yeah. Can you also give us like a client story where this quality over like quantity approach led to better experiences?
We have a dear customer to me, so they've been with us for more than 2 years now, and I like them really. So they are into 3D models business. So they are developing 3D models for famous car manufacturers. And especially now during COVID, when those car distributors, car dealers need to sell online, and the software is being really in demand, and this the solutions which this company provides. So they like their business is growing, which is good, and we are growing with them. So this company have in the very beginning, they first came in to see how we can improve the quality for them, because end users were reporting issues. We have tested for a year with them. They understood that the processes can be improved, and they decided to go without us, which is also fine, and it is something which we see the companies do. But to my great surprise, few weeks later, they came back and said, okay, our end users are reporting the issues. Can we see if we can test again? And what happened is that indeed developers were automating, testing team was testing, but they don't have people in the specific locations. So when this 3D model is released in particular country, which is dictated by their customers, there was no one to check it. And then the end user was the one who was reporting those issues back. So the company decided to still continue collaboration with us and make sure that those testers in specific locations are doing the checks before the software gets to the end user, and their quality improved.
Yep, that's the power of network testing, right? Like you have testers in any location, on any device, in like speaking any language around the world, right? So let's head over to the next piece of data. So I know that business software testing companies leverage 50% more testers per run. That might sound obviously a little scary for you here who are listening today, because it means more like it's higher cost for you. Can you tell us why you would need more testers per run, Oksana?
I can, and I will tell it on the example. We have this company, a huge company. It's in office productivity and cloud sharing space, and they build the solution for intranets, creating websites, creating business processes, automating business processes. They have solid development teams and solid testing teams. They do a lot of automation, and the software development process is very mature there. So it's agile, it's automating on every stage, integration tests, unit tests, and so on. But where we fit there is end-to-end testing. Because the software is so huge, it really manages all of the business aspects of any organization. There is enormous amount of scenarios which needs to be covered. And then on top of the scenarios, there are roles as well. So some business administrators, some managers, and so on and so forth. In order to cover all of those scenarios and all of those features, we actually need more testers. We make sure that one tester tests one specific role and one specific feature, not to get confused, because solution is really big and solid. And we ensure that all of the scenarios are covered. That's why we need a little bit more testers.
Got it. So that's obviously a great example. But what are the outcomes of higher volume testing from your perspective?
From what we see, it's good for the teams. So the teams deliver a build at the end of the release cadence of the development sprint. For example, 2 weeks development sprint, and they deliver one build. And then we are able to cover all of the scenarios in this with this build. And another example, which is in investment solution, which we have. So for developers, it takes one business day to prepare the web version of the testing environment. So they then have continuous delivery. They more of a waterfall format. So in order to save this time for developers, we test a little bit more rare, maybe once per 2 weeks. But we have more testers to cover all of the scenarios. And that way we save time for developers, but ensure that all the features are being covered.
Got it. And speaking of speeding up testing life cycles, we've seen that business software testing turnaround times are 12% longer for business software compared to industry-wide benchmarks. Why is that?
That's because mostly we test business software over the weekend because it's convenient for the teams. Teams sign off on Friday, they deliver us a build, the scope, new features, release notes. We take time over the weekend, so we don't have to hurry up. Testers can test a little bit longer. And then by Monday morning, when developers come back to the office, they get their results. That's why we have a little bit longer turnaround, but the quality that is not affected by that turnaround.
Got it. But what if the company needs results faster? What would you recommend in this case?
For those cases, we have overnight tests and the same solution, which I mentioned before, the investment solution. So they wanted to go do a live demo for their client on Thursday, I think, and they pinged us on Monday. Can we do overnight test from Wednesday to Thursday? And since we have global teams, so the team consists of all time zones, we were able to start testing 7 p.m. for the client and deliver the results by 9 a.m. And when the client was going to a live demo, they already knew the quality state of this environment, and they were confident that they will not have any issues.
Got it. Thanks. So best practice number 4. One of the questions that's important for our work at Testio, what devices do we need to use to maintain full coverage? Like we all know, the variety of different devices and operating systems is only increasing. And obviously for business software, I noticed that more mobile testing than you would expect for business software that is largely used on desktop. Like what would you recommend? Like how can we maintain that full coverage?
First of all, a little bit of what is obvious for everybody is that even if you have this business software for your PC and most of the time you will spend on your computer, you anyway are expecting the mobile application, even the light one. Take some file sharing with your colleagues. You will have full solution on your desktop, but on mobile you still want to be able to share the document while you commit, or you want to make sure that if you are on vacation and something is urgent happening there, you have a little client which can enable you to enable your colleagues. That's why the percentage of mobile devices which we cover, even for business software, is quite significant. Another reason why this is happening is that what we notice is that on desktop it's easier to automate, and teams do focus automating desktop, but mobile is harder to automate, especially for end-to-end tests. It's really costly, and if your software is being developed quickly and incrementally, you will not keep up updating your mobile automation. That's why the numbers of expectation is that we test more on desktop, but actually it's like 50-50, I would say.
Yeah, that's a great point that we have more automation, like it's easier to do automation for web or like desktop, but when it comes to mobile, like we all want to move so fast, and like we need to move fast in order to be competitive, right? And so for mobile it is more complex, and it is, as you said, it can be very in terms of cost, it's very high. And that leads us to our last best practice, which is about collecting user feedback. So we have thousands of testers. As I said, in the Testio network, we have more than 30,000 testers globally. So how do we select the ones that will provide user feedback on business software projects?
First criteria is like go or no go is the expertise of the testers. So here at Testio, we accept only 2% of people who apply, and we make sure that they are professional testers and they can provide actionable feedback. So when they provide feedback, team can go and fix something already straight away. Second criteria is that testers are global. Again, to make sure that we are able to do overnight tests and provide quick results, we make sure that we have testers in every possible time zone, and then, of course, have this feedback available quickly. One more criteria which I use actually when I find testers for my project is the domain-specific expertise. So, for example, if for this 3D model software I need more testers, I would recruit people who have previous Photoshop experience, because the logic is similar, the complexity of the solution is similar, and I make sure that those testers know what they do. And then the last one is that here we blend fresh eyes with dedicated testers. We find that for business software, specifically important that 80% of the testers are testing from run to run, and they stay the same team to make sure that they have the knowledge of the product, they know what have happened from the release to release. And about 20% of the testers, we bring in the new testers to make sure that we get new perspectives, new experiences, and fresh eyes to make sure that we don't miss anything, because we are used to the software.
Got it. Thank you so much, Oksana. And this is pretty much it. Let's conclude today's and let's look at the recommendations and takeaways. So as I said in the beginning as well, we've heard Oksana tell this multiple times today, is that like testing really drives better user experiences, and UX can be a great differentiator because every one of the companies that are out there today, like we're all trying to serve our customers, and we all have a lot of competitors. So one way to make our customers happier is to, in this competitive market, is to really get feedback from testers around the world. And the best practices shown here, from testing approach to the number of testers, to when they test, to the devices they use and how to select them, provide a significant advantage for business software companies. And with that, I want to thank you, Oksana. I see a lot of questions coming in already. And so we are moving on to Q&A. All right, I'm going to take the first questions. Hold on, getting used to Zoom here. Somebody's asking if we can get the recording. Yes, there will be a recording of this presentation that will be sent after this webinar, as far as I remember. So we have one question. What specific mobile devices do you all use frequently for business software?
The rule of thumb which we use is that we get few latest versions of the operating system. So it's going to be Android 9, Android 10, 11, and 12 beta. The same for iOS. We would take the last few operating system. Now it's 13 and 14, and 15th beta is also joining us really soon. And then we mix the screen sizes. So for example, if you take some bigger phone with one operating system, you'll take smaller one on another operating system. This is the rule of thumb. And those are most frequently used on the market, and we ensure that we cover those.
Got it. Who is your typical counterpart in the companies you work with? Is it the product manager or QA engineer or somebody else?
Everybody, actually. It depends on company size and on company processes. So for some companies, it's a QA team. It could be some full QA team or one representative of QA team. For other companies, the product team. So product designers, product managers, they come with requirements, and we make sure we translate those requirements into testing scenarios and testing requirements, and then translate it back to the results for them. And for some teams, it's developers. So we would be as a QA members for those development teams, but remote. So for them, it doesn't matter really. Is like, anyway, we're all working from home, and now it's just Testio who is your remote QA team member.
Next question. We need our testers to have domain knowledge and specific devices. How would you decide which testers to assign to us?
First of all, I would try to find any competitor which is known and see if I have testers who used to test this competitor application or similar application from the market. In case if it's really something super specific, for example, investment application, I would also try to find testers who have degree or knowledge in finances, so that they can, when they open the application, they understand all of those terms and make sure that they provide you feedback. And if none of those are that easily findable, then it will be interviews, like usual job interview, which you have. You will ask person for the experience of what they've done so far and which other experience are useful for this particular project.
Yep, and when it comes to our network, we really allow our testers to talk about their experience and write down their experiences and like the industries that they're interested in or the industries that they're in, and like all the devices that they have. So we allow them to really give a lot of information so we can match them better with the companies and customers that we work with.
Yes, and one more I will add.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since we have hundreds of customers, those are really similar. Some applications are really competitors, so you can get tested from here and there, and they give you relevant feedback.
Yep, exactly. All right. Next question. From your perspective, is there any possibility to make an outsourced tester as productive and knowledgeable about product as an in-house tester?
It is possible. It is challenging, I would say. It requires a lot of communication. So development team need to be ready to provide as much information or even invite people to their Scrum ceremonies to make sure that those outsourced testers know as much as the in-house tester knows. And again, we saw in our experience that this works. So indeed, if we dedicate the tester, we make sure they perform, that they test every week, they really know the product, and they act like in-house tester.
Exactly, like one of the reasons why I started Testio as well. So I was a tester myself, and I had a full-time job as a tester, and I was doing freelance gigs on different crowd testing platforms. And one of the key reasons why I also started with Testio was that on these different crowd testing platforms, I didn't feel valued as a tester because the payout model is built up on how many issues report. But I knew that in order to provide great quality for the customer, it's all about quality, not quantity of issues, right? And so I knew that in order for testers to get that full knowledge of the product, they need to be dedicated into the team. And so for us, what was also like, we knew what was important is that the testers remain on the platform and on the testing teams on a longer term, because of the background knowledge. But what we've also talked about today is the fact that you need that fresh perspective sometimes from industry experts that have, like, I don't know, when we talk about investment, right? You have that kind of background knowledge, and you know, if you would be an investor, like what would be important to you, right? So we try to include different perspectives and have that fresh perspective of people's eyes on the products as well, right? All right. How does the 50% more testers per run recommendation work for companies with a limited QA team?
It's like, when you have limited QA team, you need to prioritize, and the rest of the work you need to delegate. So this recommendation of having 50% more testers works to your hand. You have bigger team and you have more people to help you out. And like, for example, we have one educational solution. We are testing for them once per quarter we are doing regression testing for them. And I think it's around 200 hours of regression testing. So having so many QA engineers in-house to make sure that this regression testing is successful is not scalable, and the rest of the time team will be on hold. But Testio is able to do this volume of testing within 5 days or 3 days if we have bigger team. And that way we are helping those smaller teams to focus on other things, to focus on automation, to focus on talking to product people, to making sure that strategy towards quality is being thought of.
Mm-hmm. So we have our own internal testers. Does Testio allow us to leverage your software for in-house QA and then crowdsource from your pool for larger projects?
Yes, actually we do. I don't remember when we released the feature which allows in-house teams to test as well. You have access to your tests. Tests is your intellectual property. You are able to invite as many people from your team as you wish, because we don't charge for the license. Basically, your software is already included to your subscription model. And then you are able to select for one particular test run, either your people or testers, or blend both, or do small run with in-house people. And then if build is good, have a bigger one with the network people from Testio. But you are really flexible in the regards of using the Testio platform.
Yep, like when we first started with Testio, we first built the software for managing our network of testers and just having that, and then we obviously integrate with all the biggest project management tools. But then we realized that our test management software has become so powerful that our customers started showing a lot of interest for it. So we have customers now using the Testio test management platform, even separately from just using Testio. So they have their internal QA using the software, and then once they have the moments where they need us the most, especially before the release, they can tap into our network and the dedicated team that they have available. So we have an interesting question, how Testio can integrate UX processes into software testing pipelines. The context of this question is how we develop software in Brazil. Most companies have silo departments where, for example, development team doesn't communicate with user experience team. And breaking these silos is quite complicated. Thank you. Pedro.
And that's a good one. I'll bring a few examples how we do it for a few customers. So for one of the customers, we are doing bi-weekly regression. And along with regression, we are asking UX questionnaire from the testers. So basically on every consequent build, testers provide their usability feedback. They say, this looked good, this didn't, this feature maybe looks better, and I couldn't find this button, and so on. And then we make sure that we collect also the quantitative data, so the rates which testers give, and then we plot them. So we can see like a graph on how the release is progressing from the usability perspective. Basically, you can see that, okay, this release was dropped, and then we analyze why it happened. And we can find, okay, there were a lot of crashes, and that's why the user experience was not good. That's why the numbers dropped. But we make sure that we provide this feedback to the client, and when trends are getting back to normal, we can see that the usability is back to good quality.
Yep. And what I also would like to say when we talk about like working in silos, I think there has to you have to bring in that mentality into the team that quality is everybody's responsibility. It's not just the testers who guarantee and assure that the product is always great quality. It's really the team's responsibility and the ability to prioritize things well, because the reality is we none of us can build a bug-free software. At the end of the day, it all comes to prioritization, and so that's just like the mentality that we need to bring in more into the companies. Like if we want to help more customers around the world, we need to just adapt that kind of mindset as well.
And to build up on your thought, Crystal, it's actually from my experience as a tester. One thing when you come to developers and say nothing works, it's broken, the software is not usable. And another thing when you provide really good bug report with steps to reproduce, with video recordings, with logs, with some observations that you tried with this device and that device, you nail down that it's device specific or it's device independent. You provide really good input to your developer that they can go and make an action, not spend half a day understanding what you are trying to say, but you have really prepared to make sure that this issue is something they can go and fix.
Yep, exactly. So I know that we are starting to run out of time. We do have a lot of questions here, though. I'm sure that we will be able to answer them via email as well. So do feel free to reach out to us, but I'm sure that our team is listening in as well and helping us to answer all of them. And then last question, what communication channel is best for projects? What management tool is best for a project?
Communication channel, it's a mix. It's regular video conferences are very important, at least once per month to talk. Even if you don't have agenda, you still go and talk and you make sure that everything is good. Slack is useful if you need to, or any other instant messenger, when you need to solve some quick questions, when your team is testing and there is a blocker, for example, the instant communicator is the best. And regarding project management, it's actually the Testio platform is the best. We manage there everything. And the helper tools is Google Suite. I guess that's yeah.
And Oksana, just one more question that came in some time ago. With automation, emulators, and simulators, why do you need real people to test?
Because you need real user feedback. You need real human feedback. You can develop amazing.
Humans use software, right?
You think that you did amazing piece of software, you give it to the user, and the user cannot figure out what to do and what to press. And that's why you need a real person, just to human feedback, which emulator cannot do yet, maybe in 20 years.
Exactly. And as we when we speak about mobile testing as well, there are different services that provide these devices on cloud, for example, where you can write your automation scripts and run your scripts against all these different devices. But the reality is like it can become very expensive. And in the end, the return on investment can be like close to zero, right? Because you end up fixing your old tests instead of writing the new ones. And so it's always that there's always that challenge, because we need to develop software fast. We need to come up with features because our competition is only growing, as we said in the beginning as well. Like the number of business software company has been growing, and so that's where the kind of the challenge comes from. So yeah, we need, I think at the end of the day, when we talk about the overall testing strategy, I don't think automation is ever going to take over everything and solve all the problems. It's always going to be a hybrid of automation and manual testing. So, and with that, I'd like to thank you all for joining us for the 40 minutes. 40 minutes and taking that 40 minutes of your time today. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure Oksana appreciates you too. And we do wish you a wonderful day or night or wherever you are. I will go on and enjoy the evening with my 2 toddlers. Oksana, I'm sure you will do that too. And have a great, yeah. And you will probably hear about us and see the recording, and you'll see that in your email, I hope. And that's it from our side. Thank you all, and bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.